Hello, my name is Narisa Thompson. I'd first like to begin this presentation off with a quote. The most addictive drug known to America, racism. It causes wealth, an inflated sense of self, and hallucinations. This quote comes from Jason Reynolds in our book Stamped. I'm going to be speaking about ethnic studies. At the height of the civil rights movement in the 1960s, here's our first photo. California students led the nation in creating college ethnic studies programs that explored the histories and cultures of people overlooked by the dominant European-centric curriculum. It was a time of national racial introspection and wide-scale protests. A quote from the article, Then Central Problem of Human Life Today by Jack Forbes says, the great human problem of imperialism, colonialism, exploitation, and greed have not been under control. I had always believed that everyone should be seen as equal and that the world was never perfect at all. Although I had not known nor learned how difficult some races have it. A quote from Jason Reynolds again says, science says the races are biologically equal. So if they're not society, the only reason why can be racism. Here's our next photo. Ethnic studies goes back to 1968 when coalition of Black, Mexican American, Filipino, and other student groups at what is now San Francisco State University demanded schools create an ethnic studies program. I have another photo here actually. You could see they're fighting, they have their fists up. After a 5-month standoff, the university debuted the first College of Ethnic Studies. The similar program spread throughout the state and now throughout the entire nation, thankfully. There are lazy, hardworking, wise, unwise, harmless, and harmful individuals of every race, but no racial group is better than or worse than another racial group in any way. That is a quote from Jason Reynolds that comes from our book Stamp. Ethnic studies is the overarching area of study that includes African American studies, Native American studies, Chicanx studies, Latinx studies, and Asian American studies. These disciplines highlight the experiences of the underrepresented protagonists of the U.S. history. Ethnic studies help students avoid a single story by teaching them multiple perspectives of historical events and periods. The purpose of ethnic studies is to produce culturally competent global citizens. Ethnic studies teaches us how to carry ourselves day by day, how to handle situations. You may ask how ethnic studies has changed my life. Ethnic studies has changed the way I carry myself. It has changed the way I see myself and the way that I see others. The existence of Afrocentric feminist thought suggests that there is always a choice and a power to act, no matter how bleak the situation may appear to be. That quote is by Black feminists throughout the matrix of domination. I've learned to approach and handle situations differently. The academic environment, ethnic studies, challenges me to be a perspective seeker. A quote from Jason Reynolds says, to know the past is to know the present. To know the present is to know yourself. Here's my next photo. I now know myself. After participating in an ethnic studies course, it has done wonders for me. I have become more academically engaged. I've developed a stronger sense of self-efficiency and personal empowerment. Here's a helpful quote from the article, Black Feminists Throughout the Matrix of Domination. While individual empowerment is key, only collective action can effectively generate lasting transformation. My critical thinking skills have been enhanced, and I've also performed better academically. I committed to social change along with the rest of my class. I'd like to end my presentation with another quote from the article, until Black women are free, none of us are free. This quote comes from Yamada Taylor. It says, "The women of the CRC believed that another world was possible, one in which Black women and thus all of humanity were freed from the system of oppression and exploitation as a result of the collective struggle that reached down to the roots of the problems that we face." This quote helps me to believe that I must keep fighting for what is right. I must keep fighting for my rights. Thank you for listening. Here's a photo to end.